No, I wanted them to fall back in love with me.
Hi, babes. Welcome back to the Chase Life with Kelly show. I am your host, Kelly Chase. I have Miss Illana Dunn on the show with us today. She is a millennial and Gen Z dating expert and lifestyle content creator. Following a successful tenure running Hinge's social media, Illana embarked on her entrepreneurial journey, founding her own thriving podcast, Seeing Other People. With a genuine, we're all in this together vibe, as highlighted by the New York Times, Ilana's content empowers her audience to navigate life's complexities with empathy, authenticity, and relatability. Girlfriend, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I am truly so excited to be here.
I'm so excited. It's so funny when I was reading your bio, I was like, oh my God, she used to work at Hinge, which I knew like based on our conversation a couple weeks ago, but I forgot. And then I was like, I just re-downloaded or like reactivated my Hinge account.
Ooh, should we be doing a live profile review?
Right? I definitely was gonna ask a question about it for sure.
Got you covered.
But okay, let's talk about like I want people to know who you are and like your story,
Yes,
your background and everything and like how you got to where you are now.
absolutely. So before becoming Alana, the host of Seeing Other People, I was known as Alana from Hinge. And before being Alana from Hinge, I was a girl whose dating life was an absolute dumpster fire. I was out of college, working at a record label, wanting to like climb my way to the top of the music industry. And all the while, I kept dating guys who worked in music. And if anyone listening knows anything about guys who work in music in their early mid 20s, they don't really want to settle down and meet somebody. They want to prioritize work and do whatever it takes to work hard and get to where they want to go. And, I felt the same. And I kept just going for people who did not want to find love, did not want to have a relationship. But in doing that, I really ended up, fulfilling this like self-fulfilling prophecy of nobody wants to be with me. I'm not deserving of love. I'm not good enough. And so I really say like I broke my heart one too many times and I ended up saying like I need to get out of this industry because I can't listen to music anymore. Music makes me sad because of all of these people who have hurt me. I dated somebody that I worked with. We all know how that goes. And
Yeah.
eventually I was like, get me out. And so I was really at rock bottom and I was applying to jobs in every field and the stars aligned and there was this role at Hinge called video and content producer. And I applied. I ended up being the only person they interviewed for the role. And overnight, I became the face of Hinge on social media. And that was weird. That was something that I don't think I really realized what I was signing up for when I got the job. I think I was like, oh, well, I can use my skills and apply them to dating instead of music. But all of a sudden, people were turning to me for dating advice. Like my job was making videos on the Hinge accounts every day. And so suddenly I'm this figure in the dating space while I'm just trying to figure it out too. And it was a really transformational experience where I got to, open up about what was going on and essentially learned that the best way for me to help people wasn't by having all the answers, but by sharing how hard it was.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The relatability, the vulnerability, like that's relatable. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what's going to connect you with people. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And I'm
Wow.
sure you can relate. Like it was 2018 and people weren't being that vulnerable on social media
Right.
at the time. And so it was kind of this like breath of fresh air moment, especially for a brand to be doing this of like, here's somebody who's like in the trenches with you. And we're not going to come and say, like, we're Hinge and we know it all. We're giving you like a figure that knows everything. We're giving you somebody that you can relate to and that like gets what you're going through. And I really learned how much power there was in authenticity and vulnerability. And I thought I had found like my purpose, my dream job. I started a podcast called Dating Sucks when I was at Hinge and like light bulb yeah, right. Accurate title, but light bulb moment, I was like, I found what I'm meant to do. um Half a year later I got laid off and I was in a Zoom call with the head of HR and the CMO, losing my job. And I'm texting my friends saying, I just got fired. I'm starting a podcast. And I knew like I found what I love to do.
Mm,
And I am not going to go like run social at another company. I'm not going to, have people telling me like what I can and can't do. Like I know what I'm meant to do and I'm going to make it work on my own.
absolutely. I love that. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay, I had a question a second ago in my head. Um, Crap, it was like something from like before when you were, I hate when I do that.
And I'm like, what did I just say?
I
Like,
know, like brain farts. It was like
okay,
earlier in
dating
your story.
sucks,
Dating.
podcast there, losing my job, not wanting to work anywher else, dumpster fire of a dating life.
I know. It was like totally not even related to like the dating aspect of things. It was back to
Great.
your music stuff. Were you trying to pursue like a music, like were you an artist? Like a
No.
musical? Oh,
No, I'm
okay.
tone deaf. I'm tone deaf.
Okay.
I really was, I was doing kind of what I do now, but I was doing video editing. So if an
Got it.
artist on our label was on going on tour or dropping an album, like I was creating the graphics that you would see on social promoting all that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. You were
Yeah.
just meeting people who were
Yes.
artists. They were the ones.
Yes.
Got it.
Correct.
Okay.
I was behind the camera and now I'm in front of the camera and
Got
behind.
it. Understood. Understood.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I love that for you that you have just had such a pivotal
Yeah.
transformation like you were talking about. And like I love that. Dating sucks.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's funny. I'm the worst at titling things. Like I've asked myself the question for probably 20 years of like, if I wasn't tone deaf and had a band, like what would I name my band? And I will never have the answer. And when it came time to naming the podcast, I couldn't think of anything. So I just like wrote down like dating is hard to like
Yeah.
as like a temporary name. And I had to have a meeting with somebody else on a project management team, and he sent me a calendar invite like as a joke, like dating sucks meeting. And I was just like, dating sucks. We're gonna do that.
Yeah. I love it. That is amazing. So how long did you have that podcast before you transformed
one
it?
it was one short season. It was a 12 episode test and it couldn't have gone better.
Yeah.
But at the time, Hinge had gone through this transformation of, being a startup where I was like the 34th employee, to suddenly it was acquired by Match Group. And there were all of a sudden all of these people that had to approve everything we were doing. And so in the beginning, it was throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. And now it's, oh, you have an idea, make a 40 slide deck, pitch it next quarter, and then we'll see if it aligns with our OKRs and KPIs for the following year. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so it was really frustrating because I found this thing that made such an impact. And every single day, people were DMing me and emailing, like, when is the podcast coming back? Like, can you do an episode on this? Can you do an episode on that? And I am like fighting tooth and nail to make this thing happen. And I'm just being told, like, no, or not now at every turn. And that was why I knew I did not want to work anywhere else. I was like, I can do this. Like, I'm going to make this work.
Yeah. Yeah. That's incredible.
Mm.
That's so great. So do you have, talking the business side of it first, do you have like courses or like do you coach? Like how do you
So over time, I went from, being somebody who really struggled with dating anxiety, with self confidence, self worth, all of that, to becoming this person that people looked up to. And I never set out to be a dating expert or a dating coach of any sort. But a few months into launching Seeing Other People, my listeners started reaching out to me asking, can you coach me? Like, can we meet weekly? Can you work on my dating app profile? Like, I want your help. And I would say to them, like, I don't do this. And they're like, that's okay. Like, I want to pay you to do this. Like, I
right?
know that
Right.
you don't. And so kind of fell into being a dating coach. And, it's been 4.5 years since I started Seeing Other People. And I absolutely love dating coaching. I think it's one of the most incredible, rewarding things that I've ever done in my life, and not something I set out to do. I mean, none of this. Like, if you would have told like 21-year-old Illana that at 31, this is what her career would be, like her jaw would drop and she like wouldn't know what to say because it's like beyond a wildest dream that she couldn't have even like conceptualized.
Right. I
Yeah.
love that. That's so neat.
Yeah.
What would you say has been maybe one of your like more challenging um experiences coaching someone?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think part of it is no matter how much great advice you have, no matter, how badly somebody wants to get from the part where they're struggling to like when they feel like they broke through, like sometimes it really just just does take time, and there's no amount of work or even I also make sure that like the majority of my clients who I meet with regularly are also in therapy. Like
Mm,
it's just sometimes there's nothing that someone else can say or do. It takes time. It's a long healing process. And so I always feel like it hurts me to my core when I know how badly someone like wants to get to that next step where like they feel better or they're
right.
not heartbroken anymore. And I'm like, I know how badly you want it, and it will happen, but it's going to take time. There's no magic pill to cure a broken heart, as amazing as modern medicine is. And so like that, like I'll be out on a Saturday night and I'll be like, I know this person's like really upset because it was their anniversary with their ex, and like I'm like
Mm,
thinking of them. Like I care about these people so much, and so I think that's been challenging when like I want to help so badly, but there's so many things that have to happen.
yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that you say that. Like, I was thinking the other day, like, there's so like I've evolved so much and I've grown so much and I've had so much transformation, right? And I think, there's some insecurities around that, all of it, and
Mhm.
like offering tips and advice and the imposter syndrome, more or less. Like, who am I, right?
Yeah,
And of course, I don't listen to people on the internet, but it does have its way to like make its way into my brain,
of
into
course.
my subconscious, of course. And so when people say like, or have said in the past, like, Kelly, like, how can you give dating advice if you are relationship advice if you're not in a relationship? How can you give business advice if you,
Mhm.
may not have at the time had a thriving business? Like, or how could and you said you like were struggling financially, like, it's like all these different things, and I'm like, okay, like, but it's like mindset first a
Right.
lot of times versus the physical manifestation of the things happening. And
Mhm.
I was just thinking about that the other day. I was like, wow, to like all the coaches that I have invested in and worked with over the years, like I know they see my growth and everything, and I'm like, they're gonna be so proud of me when it's like that physical manifestation hits.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Because
so true.
I feel like I've been like not like the problem child, but healing is not linear. And so
Mhm.
I've had to go through a lot of different navigations where, when you see people where they're like, oh, I worked with this coach and 6 months later I married the love of my life,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I worked with this business coach and in a year I made $3 million. And I'm like, I'm not that girl. I wasn't that girl. And maybe, I just had a lot of things to work through, or I was
Mhm.
resisting the change. I was perhaps fearing the success or whatever, it's just like so much had combusted with
Yeah.
me. But
Well, and there's so much that's beautiful in that too, because it's not like you wake up one day and you're healed, or you wake up one day and like you're accomplished. It's like every step of the way is what's beautiful about it, and the different versions of yourself that you become and the other people that you inspire through the ups and the downs of your struggle. Like I think it's so cool that we get to evolve the way we do. Even like a similar story, I ran the New York City Marathon just this past
yeah,
week, and
congratulations.
thank you. I was very injured for a very long time, and the whole first half of this year, I was going to physical therapy twice a week with
Mm,
this physical therapist named Jackie, and she was incredible. And at a certain point, I started working with this running coach who was also a physical therapist. And, along the way, like Jackie never gave up with me when she was like, I can't solve this. I think about you. Like, I talk to my mentor about you every week. Like, you're the case that keeps me up at night, but I'm not giving up on you. And eventually, when I started working with this running coach who was also a physical therapist, I was like, I think there are too many cooks in my kitchen. Like, Jackie,
mhm.
like I think I need to like move forward and try this now. That doesn't mean like I don't think that all of the work that we've done, like I'm not putting that aside, but it's time for me to try something different. And I the first thing I did was walk into my old physical therapy office to go give Jackie the biggest hug in the world because I would not have gotten here without all of the work that she
Right.
helped me do and the fact that she didn't give up on me. And so
Absolutely.
again, it's like I would have loved and she would have loved for me to just like be healed in all the work that we did, but that was what led me to the next phase that led me to overcome the injury.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true.
Yeah,
We
it's crazy.
do. We need those things. Like, I mean, my first coach that I had back in 2018, like, had I never worked with her, I may not have like that was the first time I was doing like the subconscious reprogramming and was introduced to somatic healing, like all of that. It was just the foundations of everything. And I was like, and over the last 6.5, 7 years, I've definitely been like leaning into it so much more. And obviously I've created
Mhm.
courses and I've coached people around it and all that too. But yeah, I mean, it's like, it's just not linear. And
No,
yeah,
it
we
all
have,
builds.
yeah, it does. And everything can support one another. So I love that. And so proud of you for doing the marathon.
Thank you.
I hope your body feels good and you're not like totally sore.
I'm finally like able to sit and stand without having to like brace myself and make verbal complaints and weird noises. So yes, we're getting there.
Yes. Okay. Okay, I want to ask you, you are now married. How
Yes.
long have you been married and together with your now husband?
Married for almost a year and a half now, which is crazy.
Okay.
That has flown by. And I guess five, almost 5. We met in February of 2021.
Okay.
So almost 5 years. Yeah,
Okay.
almost five
Yes.
years.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So how was your before you met him, how was dating for you? Obviously with the musicians and everything, but like how was it like I'm very familiar with like attachment styles, like
Yeah.
anxious, secure, avoidant. Like which one were you?
I was the what do you think actually?
I'm gonna say anxious just because I feel like, and this could totally be a totally incorrect statistic, but I feel like a majority of women are more anxious than they are avoidant. Like I feel
I
like the man
was
plays more the avoidant role.
mhm. I was absolutely one of the most anxious attached
Mm,
daters, single people, people in general that I ever knew. And I will say I was working through it. I think Jake and I we matched on Hinge when we met. But we had matched on Hinge multiple times previously. And we always say, like, we're so glad that we never spoke and never went out those first few times because we were not ready for each other. We were not ready for a relationship with each other. We
mm,
grew up 15 minutes apart door to door. We lived on the same corner of 28th and 2nd in Manhattan at the same time for 2 years. Like there were so many times we could have met and
huh,
we wholeheartedly believe it would not have worked even had we met like a few months before. And so, people ask me all the time like is it right person, wrong time? Like I think you have to be the right person, they have to be the right person, you have to be the right person for each other, and you have to be in the right place and the right time. Like it's not black and white. But I think a few things happened in the year leading up to Jake and I meeting that prepared me to actually be in a place to have a healthy relationship. The first being, I learned to actually like myself and like
mm,
spending time with myself. And I actually have to thank COVID for that because before COVID, anytime if I didn't have plans on a Friday or Saturday night, I took that as wow, like nobody wants to hang out with me. I suck. Like I just
oh,
internalized that as like there was something wrong with me. Um and because of COVID, I was forced to spend time with myself. I moved home and like was living at my parents' house and I was forced to just like be my own best friend and I started to like do adult coloring books and puzzle and these like random things that I would have thought were like lame before. And I'm like, wait a second, I love hanging out with myself. And, I value time with myself and I value myself. And if somebody doesn't see these things and like them about me, like I don't need that person. So that was a huge thing that I think really prepared me to be in a relationship was not needing somebody else, but wanting
Yeah.
somebody else. And wanting someone else is okay.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. If-
Absolutely. That's so, I mean, the self-love journeys are so, they're so important. And, even if you're listening and you are in a relationship or you are married, like continuing to date yourself is like the most important thing in my
yeah.
eye. Like, because you're never, like I was just saying, as far as like healing isn't linear and your accomplishments aren't linear, sometimes it's like learning about yourself, you're always learning about yourself. And like for me, I want to attract a very curious partner, like who is always interested about themselves, curious to get
Mhm.
to know themselves better, continuing to do the work, quote unquote, and then turning to me and being so curious about me and my everything. And
Yeah.
like I feel like that is, so if you're doing that to yourself, like you become a better communicator and a better listener with your
Yeah.
partner.
Uh,
I love
yeah,
that.
with your partner and with yourself. Like you also have
Yeah.
to listen, you do have to learn to listen to yourself and listen to like what feels good and what doesn't feel good,
Yeah.
which I think the next big thing that changed for me was I think for the first time I chose to walk away from something that wasn't right.
Mhm.
I had it was probably like 5 months before I met Jake where I was seeing this guy and we went on a few dates and I was like I had a great feeling about it. And it was COVID. And, all of a sudden he hit me with this line that I heard so many times before, which was, I really like you and I love hanging out with you, but I'm not looking for something serious right now. That said, like, I am super down to keep hanging out. If you are, like, we can just, have fun and enjoy each other's company if that's okay. And I talked to him on the phone and I said, this is really hard for me to say, but I have
No.
gone down this road so many times and it always ends with me heartbroken. And I need to choose myself and say, like, thanks, but
Right.
we're looking for different things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible. How was that received?
He was super supportive. He's like, that's awesome. Like, I'm bummed to hear it, but like, I totally get it. And like,
Yeah.
no hard feelings at all. And I walked away from that feeling so proud of myself for actually choosing me, I think, for the first time in my dating life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Anyone listening, stand up for yourself.
Yeah. And had I continued to see him,
Right.
for however many months, quote unquote, casually, what would have happened was I would have become more attached and
Yep.
I would think what I thought every other time, which was like, challenge accepted. I will convince you to want to be with me. You don't know me well
Right.
enough to know whether you do or don't want a relationship with me yet.
Right.
And so I spared myself so much heartache and I made room for me to then move forward and meet Jake, who I'm now married to. And had I continued to see this other random guy who didn't want to be with me, I, I probably would not have met Jake.
Right.
And you have to close one door to open another.
I agree. Absolutely. Oh, I love that. So what would you say the biggest mistakes that singles are making in dating? Is it relatable to what you just said?
Oh, how much time do we have?
Allowing particular behaviors to happen and
Yeah. Listen, I think we all know at the end of the day like what we're putting up with and I think there were a lot of times where I was embarrassed and I knew what I was doing. Like I was letting people take advantage of me. I was letting people walk all over me, but they weren't at fault because I was telling them I'm okay with this. And so there was no world in which any of these situations that I over and over let drag out for way too long, none of them ever were going to turn into the relationship I wanted them to be because these people were telling me I don't want a relationship. And
right.
I was hearing, I don't want a relationship yet. But that's
Mhm.
not what they were saying. And so I think that's a big thing. Like people really date people for the potential and they
Yeah.
think like, okay, well, I'm going to change them or I'm going to be the person that, they've always been looking for. They just don't know it yet. And you got to take people at face value. Like people are telling you who they are and they're telling you what they want. and it really is your responsibility to listen. And so, yeah, like I was hurt by so many people, but at the end of the day, I can't fault them because I allowed them to hurt me. So
Right, right.
I think that's a big thing, especially for people who are anxious attached. Like you do repeat behaviors over and over, and you are responsible
Yeah,
for a lot of the pain that you're causing yourself.
absolutely.
That doesn't mean it hurts any less.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. It's so true. I think taking accountability and that responsibility part is so like I feel like that has been for me because I was the same way, I'm always like the cool girl, like, oh, you don't want to like be with me, but we can still hang out. Because of course I'm like, I know their potential. I'm dating their potential. And I could see like, yeah, probably like, well, I'll be the one that he would want to commit to. Like,
Hmm.
but fine, we can hang out for a little while. But yeah, like I was continuously getting hurt, and I'm like, okay, Kelly, but you're the one freaking doing it. You are like, yeah, I get it. It takes two to tango, and if he was mature enough, he would be like, hey, I literally can't be with you. I know that's what you want,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna have my cake and eat it too. Like I'm
Mhm.
gonna go my own route. But guys, just many men don't think that way. Many boys don't think that way. So it's like, oh, they're getting cake and eating it too, basically. And they're like, okay, that's great. So it is
And
the girl's responsibility to like cut it
yeah,
off.
and here's the thing is when they do that, we're not in the right headspace to actually like appreciate it. And like I had an ex block me, and that's
Hmm.
the nicest thing in our entire relationship that he ever did to me was block
Yeah.
me because it gave me no choice. He blocked me on Instagram, blocked my number, like blocked
Oh,
all the things and removed himself from my life. And at the time, it was the most painful, horrible
yeah.
thing he could have ever done. But it was the only thing that really forced me to move on
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
close the
Do
door.
you, do you feel this just came up for me? Like in those scenarios, it's almost like, do you feel like it's not necessarily like a narcissistic thing for a guy to do? It's more like, could it be more of like a people pleasing behavior? Like they don't want to hurt your feelings. So they're like, yeah, okay, we can hang out. So it's like they're like not able to like let you off, but like they're not committing to you either. So they're like keeping like, I don't know, like,
It,
could there
it,
be some truth to that? Like, because I feel like there's so many guys that are like, also have mom dad issues and they're like us all do, we have mommy daddy wounds. And I'm sure that there's like just like for myself, I feel like there's probably some type of like deep rooted people pleasing because maybe I didn't feel seen or heard or whatever as a child, right? And so like I feel like that's this could be a thing with a guy, and maybe that's like why they're like they don't want to just reject you because they know they'll hurt you and they don't want to feel like the bad guy. But then at the end of the day, they turn out to sound like the bad guy, especially to all the girlfriends' friends when they're like,
right,
this guy didn't show up for me. He cheated on me. It's
right,
like, or well, technically he didn't cheat on you because you're actually not together, but like he hurt your feelings because he was like hanging out with four other girls. Like, and then
right, right.
possible to your girlfriend group.
But here's the thing. Listen, it's entirely possible, and I mean, like we can't generalize like every
Right.
guy who does this is that, but I'm sure many are. And then I'm like, here's the thing. What happened with me, and like I can pinpoint like multiple people that things like I ended up in endless situationships with be
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, they tell me I'm like their best friend, but like we also have sleepovers and like I've also met their family, but they won't call me their girlfriend and they like say they don't want a relationship, but we spend 5 days a week together and they tell me things they've never told anyone, but it's like it's this web of like you
Yeah.
feel like you're in a relationship but you're not, but at the same time, other than the occasional time I would bring up that like I wanted something more and they would say, "Well, I'm going back to what I said in the beginning, which you've known, and that's I don't want a relationship. I can't commit to a relationship right now." And
Right.
you like if you're not okay with that, I understand. But every single time I would say, "No, I understand. Like it's okay." So
Right.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like that I can't say that like they were the bad guy. They were doing it to people please or to not be a dick when I was saying I was okay with it, even though
Right.
it was so clear to everyone in the world that I was not.
Right. Totally.
So,
I mean, I'm 100% guilty of
yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
okay, everybody else still. Yeah, like I said, I feel like the cool girl kind of label was what I was running, that pattern for a
Yeah.
while. Like, even, even after a breakup.
Like not caring.
Like, yeah, it's like, okay, well, we can still be friends. And then we, especially if you have the same like mutual friend group and then you're
Right.
around them, but then they're bringing new girls around and it's just like emotionally cutting because you're like, well, I know I said I was strong and I could be the cool girl. And then you're like, I mean, I am definitely guilty of this. I am such a little brat. Like, I definitely have befriended the guy's guy friends. I
Yep.
have befriended the new girlfriend. Like,
Yep.
oh, well, maybe if he sees that I'm like, oh, well, she likes me, or oh, your friends like me, maybe you'll like me too. I mean, granted, I don't think that was like an actual conscious thought, but I know that that was something
Well,
on going on in the background. And so, like, because I'm like, why? And then the guy friends start to like me, and I'm like, oh shit, gotta backpedal.
right. It's also like attaching yourself to their world. Like you're making
Yeah,
yourself like a core part of their world, and then
yeah,
you feel closer to them because of it.
yeah. So toxic. Ew, I'm so gross.
I know. Me too. We all are. We all are. You asked though, like, what is the biggest problem or like what is the biggest mistake people are making in dating? And like talking about the cool girl, I think in my head, the cool girl is can also be a different type of person who pretends they're super chill about everything. They
Yeah.
don't care. They are not ever going to text first or ask the guy out or say they had a great time. Like they want to just act like they're not actually having feelings and
Mm,
they don't care what happens. And I think a huge part of the reason people do that is because of these arbitrary dating rules that
mhm.
are all over social media of like you can't text first, like you can't
Right.
say thank you after the date. Like I've heard people say like unless you are literally like dying in a ditch and you cannot get out of the ditch unless for some reason like they're the only person on your speed dial and your phone's at the top and that's the only button you can touch, which they shouldn't be on your speed, like don't talk to them first, like do
Right.
not reach out to them. And it's like why?
Mhm.
Like, why? If you have something to say it.
Right.
For most of my relationship with Jake, I made the first move. I made the first move to kiss him at the end of our second date. Like, he hadn't done it yet. And I'm like, okay, well, like, it's got to happen. Otherwise, I'm going to be like in my head about it. So I made the move. 6 months in, we hadn't said I love you. And I was like jumping out of my skin. I wanted to say it and he hadn't said it yet. So I said it and then he said it back and it was great. And there's so
Aw,
many examples of like, had I not taken the initiative, like who knows what would have
right.
happened? Maybe after our second date, I went away for 2 weeks and, maybe we would have both been in our heads about the fact that we didn't kiss and then things would have fizzled because we were both like, maybe he's not into me. Maybe she's not into me. And
Right.
you have to care. There's nothing wrong with caring or wanting things or having something to say and saying it. And so I think people try
Mm,
so hard to be this version of the cool girl who just doesn't care.
yeah,
And I think that that is taking agency out of your dating life.
I agree. I agree. I definitely like I don't think I've ever, maybe because of partly the anxious attachment style, but like when I felt like I was with someone one time and the girl was like, "Oh my God, don't text him like 3 days.
Hmm.
Like if he doesn't text you, like he should text you within the next 3 days. If he doesn't, then sayonara. But like
Hmm.
absolutely not, do not text him." And I was like, I'm not here to play games. I want to
Thank
say
you.
hi to the guy. Like I'm gonna say hi to him. If he doesn't text me back, then cool. Like whatever. Yeah, sayonara. But like I'm thinking about him. I want to text him, like whatever, or call him or like his Instagram. I don't know. But like I hate games. And even like I had a conversation maybe 6 months ago about this too with some male friends. And they were, I mean, obviously not in a they're not securely attached at all. But they were like, oh no, like definitely we're not like we give it a little bit of time. And I was like, that's so dumb. Like, why would you do that? If you like a girl, fucking be up her ass. Like, I want someone almost up my ass. Like,
Hmm.
I'm at the stage of my own granted, I'm 40. Like, we're not here to play games anymore. Like,
Yep.
we're over
E-
that. But
Exactly.
it's so like, why play games? And to my next, I was gonna ask you about this too, like what your thoughts are on like vulnerability and transparency within the first like date or two. Like I am very much an open book. I will probably tell you all of my dark secrets and traumas and everything on the first date because I want you're gonna find out at some point.
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, or like it'll come out. So why not just say it? And I don't say it in a way of like trauma dumping. I'm just like,
Right.
yeah, I went through this and blah blah blah.
It's
And
matter of fact, because it's your life.
matter of fact, yeah, it's more or less I'm just storytelling. I'm not like trauma dumping on the person, but I don't know if you just because you've been doing this, what you would say.
Yeah. No, it's a great question. And I do get asked this a lot by my listeners. I think there's a big difference between vulnerability and oversharing on first, second, third dates. And I think the difference is, are you sharing this information because you want this person to know these things about you? Or are you sharing this information because you just really want to talk about this thing and you think that this person might want to listen to it. Like, should you be
Mm,
saying this to a date or should you be saying this to your therapist?
yeah, yeah,
And sometimes when we are a little bit too vulnerable from the start, we can kind of imagine that there's this deep connection that's not there. And so
I,
especially if you are a more anxious dater, I think it's a little better to make sure like everything you're sharing, like it's okay to share a lot. It's okay to open up, but make sure you're sharing it because you're in an engaging conversation with this person about it, or they're asking questions and they genuinely want to know more, and you have this baseline connection and you feel like this is important for them to know about you versus I am bearing my heart and soul out to this person and they see me and now I told them this thing that I've never told anybody else, and so we have this unspoken bond, and like I think you just want to protect yourself a little bit
yeah,
because sometimes you can convince yourself that something is there when it's not because you've opened up in this way that you maybe haven't before and maybe shouldn't early on.
yeah, I know, I understand that. And I can see that too, because I'm sure that I have been in situations where, yeah, I'm sharing something very vulnerably. The guy is like very intently listening. And so I walk away thinking that we were like, oh my God, we had like the best conversation. He listened, he's
Hmm.
such a good listener. And he was like, you know, holding space for me and blah, blah, blah. But then he was probably like, Jesus Christ, this girl.
It's possible that you just didn't shut up the whole time and he couldn't
I
get
may
a
not
word in. Yeah.
have. Maybe
It's
so.
possible. It's possible, but I'm all for like, I mean, talk about things that are real. I always say like you have no reason not to talk about what you're looking for on a first or second or third date, because let's say you're sitting across the table from somebody and you are like really connecting, you're having a great time and things are flowing and it feels so good, and then you get to a second date and the same thing, it's just like endless fun and there's so much to talk about, and suddenly there are feelings involved. And
Right.
you might not find out until the sixth or seventh or eighth date that they are moving somewhere or applying to jobs
Right.
across the country, or that they just got out of a serious relationship and they are connecting with you. That is true, but they're not looking for
Right.
another serious relationship. And so if somebody wants something casual and the other person wants something serious, that's absolutely okay. Both people can want those things, but the two of those people have no business continuing to date each other. And the sooner you can figure that out, the more information you have, the better, and the more you can protect your heart.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, get right to it.
Yeah. Like
I
there's
think
no like we don't want to waste each other's time. We don't want to waste our own time. And the more we can be upfront and honest with each other, the better. I even
yeah.
you know, I went on a few dates with this guy and I had just gotten out of a relationship. He was the first person I went out with after this heartbreak. And it was like my moment of, oh, okay, like let me see what's out there. Like I'm not really gonna like I'm gonna download the apps, but I'm not gonna like go out with anybody yet. And then a week later, it's like, okay, like I'll message people, but I'm not ready yet. And then a week later, it's like, okay, this person messaged me and we kind of got into this like fun conversation. Oh boy, they asked me out. Like, okay, I guess I'll go on this date. And we had the best first date ever. And we ended up on a second date. But after the first date, I went home and cried over my ex. Before the second date, I was at home trying to get ready, crying over my ex. And we had these amazing dates. And I think after the third date, I think he could tell like there was a shift in something. And I think he asked, like, is everything okay? And
Yeah.
I was honest with him. I was like, I am really enjoying hanging out with you. I did not expect to connect with you or anybody like this, but I know I mentioned that I like kind of recently got out of a relationship. I don't think I really was honest about how recent, and I don't think I'm in a place where this can become anything, and I don't want to, waste either of our time. And we became amazing friends
That's
because I was
awesome.
honest. So,
Yeah. Honesty is key. We love it.
yeah.
Honesty.
Like why not?
No, I love that. That's really good. It's great. I was gonna say too, like even when, when I was on Love is Blind, right? And we're like dating in the pods. Speaking of like being honest and just very intentional about like stating what you want and everything. And like it was very apparent the connections that I had made were because I was having very intentional conversations, very deep and vulnerable conversations with these people. I mean, we were sharing family issues and traumas and things like that. But then, we would go on the dates with some of the other people that were more like, and it was just really surface level conversations. And I
Yeah.
was like, this is not, you're going to the bottom of my list.
It's like, oh no, what do I say next? And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean, here's the thing, like people get really in their heads about like, oh no, I had to think about what to say next, or there was a pause in our conversation, like this is doomed, this date is gonna
Right.
tank. On my first date with Jake, there were definitely moments of, silence
Right.
where we kind of just like used filler conversation, but it was
Yeah.
just a first date and that's okay. And not every first date has to be fireworks. It's
Mhm.
probably my first date with Jake, I think, was the first time I came home from a date. And my friends were like, how was it? And I was like, it was fine. Like, I won't die if I don't see him again, but like, he was
Right.
cute. Like, it was fun. Prior to that, like, the majority of my first dates, they were either really bad or, oh my God, I'm in love. And
Yeah.
that's not good either.
Right, right, right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, that's so true. And there's so many of us that do that.
It's fun. It feels good in the moment,
Yeah.
but
What would you say, like, okay, so for those that feel like they are in a well, not two questions. Okay, let's say similar situation. Someone just got out of a relationship recently and or they're kind of over the one that they're in. And maybe it was more of a situationship.
Mhm.
Um in my mind, based on my experiences and all the work that I've done, it's like I'm like those types of people need to take breaks
Mhm.
and not date, be with themselves, date themselves for 3 to 6 months versus just jumping right back into dating and that kind of thing. Granted, miracles happen, and I think people can, shotgun and, just
Right.
start dating and everything, and they could find their person, of course,
We all know people who have never been single in their lives. That's okay.
right. Yeah. 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 Exactly. And they get married and all of that.
Works
But
for them.
like, what would, I don't know, just like maybe how you would advise your clients on what to do in those situations.
If you're fresh out of something and you are feeling so down about dating and like you can't believe you have to get back out there, you can't believe you have to go on dates again and start over, don't date. You're not You're not
Ready.
there. Dating
Mm.
should be fun. It shouldn't be something that you have to do. Yes, it can suck when you've been single for however many years or you feel like you're back at square one. Like, I understand. I felt that for so long and I felt it so deeply. And I internalized that as like everyone else seems to be deserving of love. Like, something must be wrong with me. And every time I felt that way, I was never going to meet somebody.
Mhm.
You should be going on dates because you want to connect with people. Even if, you're not trying to meet your life partner at the moment, there's still something you should be getting out of every date, whether it's practice dating, whether it's fun.
Mhm.
Like maybe your goal with dating right now is just to have fun. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's a win. maybe you're moving to a new city and you need to meet people. Like, okay, that, you can date. But I think if you're fresh out of something and you are just feeling so doomed, everything sucks, I hate being single, I'm never going to find my person. Yeah, you should take time for yourself because that you might not think that that rubs off and that people can pick up on that, but they really can. And why bother in that moment when you could just be on your couch reading a book or watching a movie or spending time with your friends or going to a new workout class and doing something that actually fills your cup because
Mm,
your cup has to be filled first.
absolutely. 100%. Okay, so let's say you are ready and you're creating a profile, whatever, using a dating app, you want to dabble in that. What are your like top three tips?
Stop trying to be witty. Like, it doesn't matter how witty you are and how good something sounds if you're not actually saying something about yourself. You know, we see these lines that like sound really good in theory, but then we see them 25 more times and it's like, okay, these people are saying things that actually mean nothing about them.
Yeah.
Um, we like you want people to really look at your profile and be like, this is a person that I'd like to get to know. I think a really good piece of advice is to, after you spend time crafting your profile, and I say spend time because people rush through it because they just want to start swiping, you're
Right.
not setting yourself up for success from the start. Spend time on it and ask a friend, like, hey, does this actually represent me? And if not, like, what should I change? And as the friend, for the friends listening who also want to help their friends, say, yeah, like, let me see your profile. Make sure that that person's profile is really representing like all of the different sides of them, the weird things, the silly things, the quirky things about them. Because
Mm,
even if something might appear uncool to the masses, if it's something that's so specific to that person, like, yeah, maybe it should be in their profile. For example, again with Jake, and I love mine and Jake's story because it just there's so many
mhm.
lessons in it that like I think everybody should hear. Um, but I had a prompt in my profile and it said, I won't shut up about. And I wrote the Jonas Brothers, my dog Zoe, Sugarfish, and whatever song I'm listening to on repeat right now. And I always recommend that people put at least one list in their profile and one thing that relates to food or drinks because that can lead to a date very easily. If you
Mm,
say like you're on a hunt for the best espresso martini in your city, like, okay, great. That's a really easy jump off point for somebody to suggest, like, oh, have you been to this cocktail bar? I've heard they have a great espresso martini. And then,
mm.
boom, you can get to planning the date. But I think a lot of people would have thought it was really uncool that I loved the Jonas Brothers. That may have made people not want to go out with me, that I'm proclaiming myself as a Jonas Brothers super fan. Jake messaged me and said, hey, like, by the way, I love the Jonas Brothers too. We have now been to 11 Jonas Brothers concerts together. We walked down
Wow.
the aisle to them, and they were our first dance at our wedding. And so thank God I put that in my profile because who knows if he would have matched with me had I not
Right.
had that, or if he would have started a conversation that I responded to, or that
Right.
became a conversation, not just a message and then a message and then it fizzled out. You really want to put things that matter to you.
Yes, absolutely. That's interesting. I love that. I wrote down your tips as far as list food and drink. That is smart. I have like in my profile what you were saying about like that mattered to you, right? And I have something about like the subconscious mind. Like
Mm.
something, and I don't remember. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. Um, what do I have? Don't give me all this stuff.
I love that already because it's so specific. Specificity is good.
Yes.
Specificity is great.
Okay, I have a handful of photos and then I like written prompts. My greatest strength is vulnerability. That's like what I wrote there. I geek out on personal development. And then oh yeah, and the third prompt was I wish more people knew. And I wrote about how the subconscious rules 95% of our behaviors.
Ooh.
And that is like
Cool.
I like all three of those have like they get people to respond to, but probably the subconscious one more so. And some of it is like agreeing and expanding on that conversation. Some are like, Oh, like would love for you to tell me more about that. Like
Hmm.
obviously they don't know anything about it.
Right.
But it's just interesting. And the prompt poll that I have, which is worth splurging on. I put your dream car, coaches and therapists, or traveling.
I love that. That is great. I actually think that's the best thing on your profile.
Hey.
My unsolicited advice
Yep.
um, is I think you can add so much more. Like,
Yeah.
okay, vulnerability. Okay, it was my greatest strength is
Right.
vulnerability.
Yeah, yeah,
Vulnerability means so many things to so many people.
yeah.
And I think a million people might have that same exact prompt answer, and it might not actually mean the same thing to 900,000 of them. What about vulnerability? Or, like, okay, vulnerability is your greatest strength, but what are some, like, that's like everything you mentioned is a little bit deeper, which is good because, we want to attract the right people and deter the wrong people. But,
Right.
you know, from Monday to Sunday, from the second you wake up to the second you go to bed, vulnerability is not the only thing on your mind. So maybe your greatest strength is finding the best fruit at the farmer's market and, getting the best last minute reservations and vulnerability.
Okay, so do it more like a list kind of thing, what
Do
you
it,
were.
yes. And just give people more of you. What is it like to actually date you? What are the types of places they would go or the things they would do? Is family so important to you? My greatest strength is roasting my siblings. My like my great and roasting my siblings, um, finding cheap flights and vulnerability. That
Mm,
says family is important to you. That also probably, indicates like maybe you want a big family because you love your relationship with your siblings. That's
right.
possible. That might not be possible, but it's something that might, raise a flag to somebody in a good way or make somebody want to talk to you if they value family closeness. Flights talks about travel and like a girl with the budget, maybe, or just somebody who wants adventure in their life and vulnerability.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Okay.
putting
That
more of you.
more of me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The first thing I wrote down as you were talking was like customizing a menu.
Yeah. Love. That's so good. Because that, like,
It's
you like
true.
to host. Maybe you are gonna like cook some stuff, or, you like you're a foodie, like you want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
try different things like that. Exactly. That's so
Yeah.
specific and so good. I love that.
Yeah. Cause like I have so many dietary restrictions. So like when I'm out, like I'm not the girl who feels bad for asking a waitress or waiter
Mm,
to,
love. Yeah.
hey, can I have the chicken dish, but can I swap out the asparagus that it comes with for green beans or vice versa? And can I have a sweet potato instead of the rice pilaf or the couscous because I'm gluten free and I can't eat this couscous. So it's like,
Love
and
that.
I'm not that like I'm so confident in doing that because I've been doing it for so long probably. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to dine here. I'm gonna pay you. Make what I
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. That's great. I so support that.
Yeah.
I was in Italy earlier this month, and the first day there, I just like wasn't really interested in anything on the menu at the hotel. And
Oh,
so I just asked, I was like, can you guys make like spaghetti pomodoro? And they did, and it was the best bowl of pasta I've ever had. Every single day at the hotel's like four restaurants or other restaurants we went to, I asked for a spaghetti pomodoro off menu, and I've never been happier.
wow.
I ate exactly what I wanted every single day.
I
And
love that.
it was perfect. And like,
Yeah.
thank God Jake was like, that's not that he was like, no, that's so weird. Like he was like, yeah, like get what you want. You're here. You should have
Right.
it.
Oh my God, I love that. You know what's so funny? Literally earlier, I don't know, I live next to like an assisted living home. And so like whenever they're cooking, like I can like smell it in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And it's something smelled very garlicky. And I was like, oh my God, like a like fresh out of the oven garlic bread with like spaghetti and
Yum.
meatballs
Oh.
sounds so good right now. And I don't eat those things because of gluten, right? So it's like,
Hmm.
but I just had that and now you just said it. So I'm like, I might just have to or like, Uber eat some gluten-free pasta later
I
because
think you should. I
I
think
think
you
I should.
should.
That's what I want. And now it's
Yep.
been talked about twice. So
Meant to be.
Oh my
Enjoy
God.
it.
Okay. I am definitely going to do this. I'm going to update with your list. Like I geek out on, and I'll add some more to
Mhm.
that. Do you
Yeah.
like what I said about the subconscious?
I think that's cool because I think that shows like the deeper, curious, intellectual side of you that also
Right.
relates back to, what you do as a coach and with the
Right.
podcast and, just being curious about people in the world. Like, I think that's a really good way to weave into that without being like, this is what I do and this is what I'm interested in. Like, I think that's very cool and it will attract the right people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It seems to have. What do you think about like the voice recordings or video prompts? Video prompt. Is that new?
Videos, I think if you have like a really fun video of you like doing something hilarious or like having the best time on the dance floor and truly
Mhm.
dancing like nobody's watching, if that's your personality, like
Right.
I think videos can be an amazing way to show, not tell a side of you.
Right.
But if you don't have a video that comes to mind, like don't force it because
Yeah.
it could just be a really big miss. Um, Voice prompts, again, I think don't force it. What I would say, I think the best voice prompt hack, and this actually I think really adds so much to your profile, is to like kind of pick a random one of the prompts. And if you have an outgoing best friend who loves you, have them record like, oh my God, you're gonna have so much fun when you go out with Kelly. Like, here's like what you need to do, or like, this is why she is my favorite person on the planet. And like, here's what a double date would be like when, like, if you pass the test with her. Like, just have a friend kind of hype you up and say, like, this is my person. And like, you'd be lucky to be with her for these reasons, not just like, my best friend is the most like eligible and amazing and beautiful and fun person, but like really like, oh my God, like we belly laugh, like we've just watched a Harry Potter marathon and we're like delusionally tired right now, but I just needed to come on here and tell you like that she is so like such an incredible human being, and I
Mm,
like
that.
want her to find all the love in the world because she deserves it. Like
Right.
something heartfelt and genuine.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. And not that many people, I mean, I've never seen anybody do it except for the few people I've told to do it. So
Right.
I think
Right.
it's dynamic and it's different.
I love that. That's great. Okay. All right. I'm gonna grab a friend and tell her to do that.
Yeah.
That's so fun. Okay. Yeah. And then I mean, I have like random pictures or whatever. I think that's pretty much all I don't have like, and then I do have like, obviously like the things like that I am like, I'm looking for a life partner,
Yeah.
monogamy.
Yep.
I don't have politics because I'm not a big political girl. So I don't even have that like mentioned.
Yep.
Um, and then outside of that, like I don't have children. I want children. I do have
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. Definitely like with the filters and the preferences, like if you care about something,
yeah.
care about it. And if you don't.
Right. Right. I
Yeah.
like that. Okay. That's great. Okay. So because you brought up friends, um, what about those types of relationships? Like friendships that, because I mean, I definitely have dealt with growing distant with friends or feeling like, there's the season has come to its end in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, how do you navigate friendship breakups and
Yeah.
they evolve? I mean, I think at any decade of your life, again, you what is the saying? Like you have like people come into your life for like a moment, a
A
season, or a
season, a reason, or a lifetime. Yeah.
lifetime.
Yeah. It's really hard. I think there's two ways to look at it. Sometimes you grow apart from somebody. Other times you actually go through a breakup with a friend. And friendship breakups can be more painful than romantic breakups because it feels like something has to really go wrong for a deep friendship to break apart. And that is real pain. Sometimes it goes back decades of like we were best friends from kindergarten or we met on the first day of college and like we thought we were each other's maids of honor. And then suddenly there's some difference or disagreement or misunderstanding that one of you or both of you can't get past. And it's it's so heartbreaking. Treat it like a breakup. I think if you go through a really intense friendship breakup, treat it like a breakup and be really kind to yourself and know that maybe, listen, like, did you do something wrong? Did they do something wrong? Who knows? We don't need to keep score, but it's really hard and it's really painful, and you do need time to heal from that. I
Yeah.
think what we see more often is friendship breakups where things just fizzle. And, you know, you might have in your head, like, is something off? Like, we used to talk every day and now we talk once a week and it feels forced even when we do that. I have a really close friend who she is about to have a baby. And while she's been pregnant, I've been marathon training, and our lives have been about things completely different. She has never run a mile. I have never had a baby. I'm not ready.
Right.
I'm not pregnant, you know? And so we went from talking 100 times a day to talking once a week. Sometimes we don't talk even once a week. And we have both reached out to each other and been like, are we good? Like it does feel weird that, you know, things are different. And there's never been any anger or resentment because we've talked about it. And we've both acknowledged, like, yeah, like it is sad. Like I do miss you and I wish we talked more. And we can both work a little harder, but also like life is busy and we're just focused on completely different things right now. And like for her, I totally understand that the people she talks to more on a daily basis now are people who are either moms, like new moms, or other people who are pregnant because they're going through the same thing. And similarly to me, like the last few months of my life has been about getting ready for the marathon. And like she doesn't want to hear me talk about running and carb
Right.
loading and like my mile splits, like, because like she cares and she's happy for me that I'm doing it, but like you don't have to always be in the same place as somebody. And I think that's what's hard because you grow up, you go to college, you graduate, everybody's moving to new cities and starting jobs and then getting into new relationships and then getting out of relationships and, trying getting to a new job. And over time, you go from being exactly in the same place as your best friends to you might be in completely different worlds. One of you might be going back to school while the other is having their second kid. And it doesn't mean that the friendship was any less valuable or meaningful, but I think just accepting that things are different, maybe the friendship will once be what it was, maybe it'll evolve into something unexpected in a different way. Like it's life and it's okay. And neither of you are a bad friend, just I think being open and honest and having those conversations like I miss you and things feel different and I just want to make sure we're good goes a
Yeah,
long way.
I agree. No, I agree
Yeah.
with that. That's so true. Um, it's interesting because like I said, I feel like I'm navigating a little bit of that, but I have friends that have had similar things, and I kind of play a little bit of a middle person lately.
Yeah.
Just 'cause, like, you see their friendship for so long too, and then it's like, the little fixer in me, I'm like, can y'all just like be besties again? Um,
Mhm.
but it was just more of like I had to come to terms like, Kelly, that is their relationship, not yours. But it came down to just lack of communication. Like,
It always does.
it always
It
does, yeah,
always
but
does.
it's just like, they don't, like, hate each other or anything like that, it's just, like, they did have, like, a breakup, and
Yeah.
they will be they will be friends to a level forever, but
Yeah.
and they have love for each other and everything, but it's just, it was, like, so heartbreaking for me to, like, watch something just all of a sudden, like, disintegrate, and
Yeah.
it like I said, it was just, like, lack of communication, misunderstandings, all of that, and I'm just like, oh, it just breaks my
Yeah.
heart so bad.
People make assumptions, and then
Yeah.
especially with social media now, like we think we know what everyone is doing and what everyone is thinking and what everyone is about, and there's always another side of the story, and everything is not what it seems. I mean, I had a friend who, like, for many years we were best friends, and we went through a big friendship breakup. And I was in a relationship, and me and my ex introduced her and her boyfriend turned husband. And when my ex broke up with me, it was really difficult for me to be around her because she was very involved in my ex's life. And like, I didn't, it was hard for me to have conversations with her without wondering, like, what was she hearing from him. And when she would bring up her boyfriend, it would, remind me of my ex. And it was really hard, and I needed space. And me taking space was really hurtful to her. And it just built up into this thing where we weren't really understanding where the other was coming from. And we, when we would try and talk about it, it would just erupt into this like screaming fight that made us, feel farther and farther apart. And it was hard. We also were in the same friend group, and I stopped showing up. I stopped going to, her apartment where one of my other best friends lived. And it was really hard for a really long time. We went years without actually spending any one on one time together. We probably went months and months without talking. And years later, we slowly started to, spend time in a group together, go on a walk or grab a coffee. And eventually we ended up, she came on Seeing Other People, and we recorded a podcast about our friendship breakup.
Wow.
And we have really worked our way back. It took 6 years. But our friendship is the strongest it's been in a very long time. And I'm so happy that, you know, as hard as it was, we worked through it and we were able to move forward. And I think, had if we were in our 20s, like our early mid 20s, I don't think that would be the case.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's hard. Friendship is hard. Life is hard. Relationships are hard.
Yeah,
But like, hold your friends close and just be as honest as you can.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, one another question. What about like, I mean, with whatever type of relationship, people that have like guilt around whatever. I don't know what question. I just have that topic. Like how to release. I feel like there's a lot of guilt. There could be guilt, whether it's a romantic
Yeah.
relationship or friendship or family dynamic, whatever. There's guilt, and that guilt is a wedge between a deeper connection and a deeper relationship that you could have with someone. How
Yeah.
would you like help someone through that?
This is something I don't think I'm actually the person to help somebody through that, but because this is something that I've really struggled with and that I've tried to work through in therapy, and everything's a journey.
Yeah.
But for me, I think what, like, the way I can, kind of share my challenge with that is like, if I'm in a fight with a friend, or if I do something that upsets somebody, that upsets a friend, or something I said, a friend is hurt. To me, I internalize that as I'm a bad friend. If I do something that, like, let's say I don't have a boss anymore, but if I did something that was, not what my boss wanted, it wasn't like, oh, I made a mistake. It was, I'm a bad employee.
Oh,
And the guilt would eat me alive. And there was a difference between, like, okay, like, people are allowed to feel the way they feel, and I'm not responsible for someone else's feelings. I'm human. I'm allowed to make mistakes. I'm allowed to exist and do things that might not feel right for somebody else. That doesn't mean that I'm inherently bad. And I am not responsible for someone else's feelings, and they're allowed to be upset. I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but
okay.
that was my big struggle of like, if somebody's upset because of something I did, that doesn't mean that A, doesn't mean that I'm wrong. And it doesn't mean I have to carry around the guilt for being a bad friend, being a bad daughter, being a bad sister, being a bad employee. But I can say, like, okay, it doesn't feel good right now that I did this thing that upset them. That's on me to work through, and that's on them to work through.
That's so true. Mm. I feel like it, like you saying it like that, like I'm a bad friend, or it's like you gave yourself such a label and like
Yeah.
an identity, like I am,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
it was like detaching and like healing through the identity that you gave yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm,
It's hard.
interesting.
Life's
Yeah,
hard.
that is. Ah! Okay, one last question. Let's say someone has had, like I guess like okay, dated a friend, like prior friend, only ever a friend.
Yeah.
Then we crossed the lines, dated. But it was like still not really committed type of relationship there. Um,
Hmm.
how do I say this? Like,
Can you ever go back to being friend? Like, is that where you're going
like,
or?
do you think that you can honestly ever go back to being friends? Like, I feel, and I say that because I have a similar situation.
Yeah.
And like, again, I took responsibility and accountability for my part. I have had forgiveness for me. I like forgive this person for the way that they were or were not able to show up for me the way I needed them to. And I ask myself these questions of like, am I still like okay having this person in my life in some capacity because I'm still hanging on to like a hope that
Right.
there's something there? Or am I like, no, I know I know the reality of,
Yeah.
and I loved my friendship with this person. So like, can I?
Well, that's the question. Can you? Or are you hanging on to hope? That's the thing. I think it's
I don't
like
think
when
I
people
am, but I don't know.
that's a question that you have to answer for yourself. I think how would you feel if they ended up in a relationship with somebody else?
Well, like I would be happy for them. Like I would be like good. Like he found like
Okay.
their match. And I've dated like since, and I have found people that are more my match, like more aligned. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like a breath of fresh
Okay.
air. Like that situation.
Okay.
So it's like,
Then you know what? Then I think you're in the clear in this case. Like in
yeah,
this
okay.
case, I think you're good. I think if you were to feel jealousy or upset if he said he was going on a date with somebody and like it's all you can think about the fact that like he's on a date with somebody or something went well with someone, then it would be like you are doing yourself a disservice. Like this friendship is causing you more pain than joy and it's not the healthiest thing for you. I also think there are just people who can do it and people who can't. Like, I am somebody who never in my life should I ever have tried to be friends with an ex because I couldn't handle it. And
Yeah.
it was never genuine. It was never coming from a place of like, with like the exception of like somebody that I walked away from, it was
Right.
never coming from a place of like, I would say like, yeah, but like we were such good friends and I want them in my life as a friend. No, I wanted them to fall back in love with me,
Right. Of course.
but I knew that deep down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been on the opposite side of that too, where I was really good friends with this guy. Like we were such good friends and we crossed the line and we decided to kind of see if what could happen and we did date for a bit and I kind of pulled away and was like I need a little space and he couldn't handle that. And we kept saying we wanted to go back to the way our friendship was, and it just wasn't possible. Like, too much had happened, and I think there were too many feelings involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Do you think
it
it's
really
harder?
depends.
Do you think it's harder to try to be friends with an ex or harder to try to be friends with someone you were in a situationship with?
That's such a good question. Ooh, they're hard for different reasons.
Yeah.
I think with a situationship, it's hard because there's always the what if. With an ex, you got to see it through and you got to see that it didn't work.
Right.
But if you're still hoping, like if they broke up with you and you're trying to stay in their life so that maybe one day they'll change their mind, that's not good. And with a situationship, it's like, well, you're mourning the life that you thought you could have had. You're mourning the relationship you thought you could have had with them. So subconsciously, you might be trying to stay in their life so that they see, oh, my life is better with Illana in it. Like,
Right.
oh, I do really like Kelly being around. Oh, like, you know, she is, they say date your best friend, and we're best friends now. So like if that's in your head of like, let me stay close to this person,
Yeah, it's terrible.
it's all bad in that case. So
Oh, don't do
I
it.
don't know. I don't know. Yeah, intentions matter in
Yeah.
those situations.
Yeah. Okay, one more question. I feel like, and because I have done this too, like girls will be, they're not really like attracted or interested in the guy, but because the guy is pursuing the girl, then they're like, I feel like, wait, I didn't even like you. Like,
Yeah.
but then they have feelings, or they're like, because they're being pursued, because they're being wanted and desired, that then they like start to like the person. And then it's almost like, then the person, like, the guy doesn't continue to pursue,
Right.
feel brokenhearted, and you're like, the fuck, I didn't even like him. I wasn't even attracted to him. Like, I've been bamboozled. Like, what the heck?
Yep. Yeah.
That why does that what happens?
Listen, we all want to be wanted. And so it's exciting when somebody wants us and we're like, okay, fine. Like, I want love and here's somebody who wants to give it to me. Like, sure, let me take it and try it. And then we also do want what we can't have. And that's where, people will justify like playing the game and trying to not care because it makes somebody want you. But a relationship is only going to work if you are receiving like the chase wasn't what it was about. You genuinely like the person. And so yeah, maybe he likes the idea of you and the more he tries, the more you finally give in and you're like, "Okay, fine." Like he's into me, so like I'll try it and then he realizes like, "Okay, I liked the idea of her. I don't actually see us building a relationship together. I change my mind." That's the thing. Like when we're dating, we're allowed to change our minds, but nobody else is.
Yeah, right,
Ever.
exactly. You can't.
Ever. And when they do, it means that there's something wrong with us.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, if you think about it, like it shouldn't work with the majority of people that you date. If you're trying
that's
to build a life with somebody, it's
mm,
such a specific version of you and such a specific version of this other person that needs to fit together. And it shouldn't work with most people. It shouldn't work with like 99% of people that you will date and encounter. And so just because somebody changed their mind or decided to not continue dating you doesn't mean you're not dateable. It doesn't mean you're not lovable. It's for whatever reason, the two of you weren't a fit.
right.
And it means there's somebody better out there for you. And so I really, really try and like instill this in people's minds. Like, and it's not anything new. It's rejection is redirection because it is. It
Right.
really, really is. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. It doesn't mean you're not going to find what you're looking for. It just means that that person's not your person, and that's okay. And when you do meet the person for you, it will feel 1,000 times better than it did with this in this fleeting moment with this idea of a person.
Yeah, so true. That's so true. I love that. So good. Yeah, I was very disgruntled like earlier this year because someone was like doing me, and then they were like,
Never
"What
mind.
the hell?
I know.
I didn't even like you."
I know. I know. It's so hard. Oh,
I'm like,
dating
why am I
sucks.
so butthurt? I didn't
I
even
know.
like you like that. What the
Yeah.
hell?
But that's it. You're not actually like hurt. You're butt hurt.
Yeah, I was
Like your
butthurt.
ego is bruised. You're
My
not
ego
like
was bruised.
broken. And there's a
Yeah.
difference. Like, and I think it's really important. It's really helpful to separate it out too and to recognize like, I'm going to be okay. Yeah, this stings because what the heck? But like, I will, like, the sun will rise tomorrow and like, I will laugh about this one day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I'm doing now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. This was so good. Do you have any like lasting thoughts or anything, tips or whatever that you want to share with the audience?
Don't be afraid to be yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I ask at the end of every Seeing Other People episode, like, what's the best piece of dating advice you've ever given or received? And I've talked to so many experts, therapists, like so many just incredible people, authors, coaches, lawyers, doctors, like everyone from every profession. I've talked to every single type of person. And I'd say like the majority of people say be yourself.
Yeah.
Like you want to be loved for exactly who you are. And if you're trying to be somebody else, if you're trying to be the cool girl, if you're trying to pretend you don't care, if you're trying to pretend like nothing bothers you, like you're convincing somebody to fall for a version of you that actually isn't you. And nothing feels better than being loved for exactly who you are.
So true. Love it. Mic drop.
See, that's why I need to switch back to the handheld mic to drop
Yeah, there you go.
it. The mic stand I can't drop.
Yeah, don't do
Yeah.
that. Well, tell everyone where they can find you if there's an opportunity for them to work with you if they wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. I can be found at the podcast is Seeing Other People. I'm at Seeing Other People on Instagram, at Illana Dunn, and there are links in my bio everywhere to book a session with me if you want me to do a dating profile revamp, or if you're interested in dating coaching, or if you just want to hang. Let me know. I am very reachable if you want to reach me, and definitely check out Kelly's episode of Seeing Other People. It's such a great conversation, and I'm so appreciative that I got to come on here. And yeah, this has been so fun.
Yeah, yeah, everyone. I was on her podcast. That's kind of how
Yeah.
we met. So mentioned
Yes.
that in the beginning. Yeah, check out my episode too on her show. But this was so great. Thank you so much for being here. Really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.